Hey there, everybody. Thanks for coming along today. Today, Jake, the Wonder Poodle, and I are out at, I'm pointing to Tiger Creek. There's no sign there, it's behind me. Anyway, we're at Tiger Creek, which is right in the middle of orange country, orange grove country, citrus country, whatever you want to call it. In my couple of trips here to Florida, what I've discovered is there's a whole lot more to Florida than the coast. A whole lot of Florida left. And wow, I've had the opportunity now to see some really nice sights. I think this is part of what they call the ancient prairie, ancient islands, something like that, where it is a higher area in Florida. And I had to drive through lots and lots of orange groves to get here. The trail looks to be a loop. It's about 4 miles long. Jake is acting a little better today than he did the last time. He's not quite as idiotic as he was. Jake has expended some of his energy, so he's acting like a little more of a good boy today. So this ought to be a nice trail. What I've seen on all trails is that it starts out fairly sunny and then it turns into some shade. So it's along Herons Pond, I believe. So I'm anxious to get going. So come along with me. I hope you enjoy the walk. This is a wildlife preserve, and I'll tell you one thing that I've noticed here, as opposed to the state parks that I've been in, the trails are actually marked. Not only is it pretty apparent because of the difference, well, because the trail is worn, but oftentimes, there'll be a fork or something, and when they color code them, it makes it a little easier for us to follow, especially for somebody like me who has trouble with that kind of thing. There's evidence of fire along this trail, and I guess it's natural. Florida is the lightning capital of the world, and I think that's just part of the way the place regenerates itself. I would say that this is kind of a hardwood hammock trail. It's completely different than the one that I did last over at Alafai River. Although this trail is supposed to take me to a Herons Pond, and there are a lot of lakes in the region. This is more of a wide open hammock type trail. I kind of sound like I know what I'm talking about, and I really don't. So it's just, this seems to be high and dry, and the other seemed to be more tropical and closed in. And of course, it was also right around a lot of water and the river, although it was certainly a small river. So I'm enjoying the walk. It's very easy. It's a sandy trail, very few roots. And as I said, mostly pretty much wide open. Well, I finally made it to Herons Pond. I'm here in a viewing shelter. I have to tell you, this is not what I expected when I was told about Herons Pond. There is water. I'll turn it around so you can see it, but it's basically a marsh. Very beautiful in its own right. There's a bald eagle that's over on the other side. I don't think even with telephoto I'll bring it into any kind of good viewing range. And obviously there's herons, which I guess is why they call it Herons Pond. But a long walk, a nice little halfway point. Now I think I'll start to head back. But before I do that, I'll turn this around and let you see Herons Pond. This is kind of an upper part of Herons Pond. You can see some water and some lily pads and whatnot down there. This trail has quite a few elevation changes, and certainly nothing to be consequential about. But it is worth knowing that there's lots of up and downs, and it's very sandy. And the reason I mention that is sometimes it's a little difficult to, when you're walking on the beach, sometimes in your shoes, it's a little difficult to walk in sand. Most of the times it's not that deep, so it doesn't present that kind of a problem. But there are places where even the dog looked at me like, what's going on here? So I thought I'd mention it. It's a beautiful trail. So glad I came. And it's nice and broad. There's no overhanging. Well, there's overhanging, but the trail doesn't close in on you at all anywhere. So from that point of view, it for some people it will give you a little more comfort level. So we're on our way back now. I suspect it's going to take us probably about another hour to get back. So it's been a great afternoon. As I mentioned, this trail is one of the best marked trails I've ever seen, and according to it, I'm now back on the White Trail off of Herons Loop. And this, I think, is called the Plantation Trail. Anyway, it's about 1.5 miles back to where I parked the car. Jake has had it. You think a big dog like him, he really has had enough today. He's as a matter of fact, he laid down one time. So it's interesting to see his stamina, and of course, it's been a long walk for both of us. Well, we're on the last legs of the trail here. This, I think, is called Plantation Loop. We just passed kind of a little station. As I said, this trail has just been phenomenal. These trails have been phenomenally well marked. We just passed a little sign that told us where we were. We're off of Herons Loop and back onto the White Trail, which I think they call Plantation Trail. And if I calculate right, we're about 1.5 miles back to where we parked the car. So we're on the last legs here. Jake has about had it. It's the first time in a long time that when I've stopped, he's actually laid down to take a rest. So he'll probably throw himself in bed when we get back to the camp, and I won't see him until 8 o'clock tonight. We're back. Jake's in the truck. Door's wide open. He doesn't want to go anywhere. That took us about 2.5 hours, which is about probably a half hour longer than what I should have really done as far as my stamina is concerned. But what a great trail it was. It's what I would call a high and dry trail. Wide open in most cases. You're not troubled with foliage kind of coming in on you and maybe making you uncomfortable or whatever. There is some elevation changes, but they're minor. So all in all, I would say this is a great preserve, super well marked trails. And I forgot to mention on the way in, maybe I just hit it luckily, but they have a little container that actually had some trail maps in it, and they were superb. They're much better than anything I've ever got at a state park, which is they're usually like photocopied 1,000 times and pretty sketchy. So Tiger Creek, I think this is called Wildlife Preserve, and I think it's in Polk County. So if you happen to be up in this area, I highly recommend it. It's late November. Weather is coolish, nice little breeze. I would say maybe 72, 73. Lower humidity for Florida and bug-free. So there's some good reasons to enjoy this time of year. Again, thanks for watching, and if you hadn't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Hit the little notification button on the corner down on I think it's the right-hand corner. and hit the notification bell. That way you'll know when I add a new video. So again, thanks for coming along on this little adventure, and I hope you had a good time. See you next time.